Hello, welcome back.
Hi.
We are here to recap season 37, episode 8.
I'm so sad. We only have 4 episodes left.
I know,
Yeah.
it's going way too fast. I do remember, our season feeling like it was like, no, wait, slow down. And I feel exactly the same way with this one. I'm like, no, slow down, it's too good.
And on this one, we have a lot to talk about. Like I have pages
And I like that you said we.
I'll guide you through it.
I don't have any notes.
And then I'll get all your talking points over
That's
there.
right. I'll give my 2 cents any day.
2 cents and a lot of opinions.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. Let's get into it then.
Yeah. Wait, first, if you haven't subscribed to the channel.
Yeah. That would be lovely.
I always forget. Just like the channel over there. We also have Instagram at Ricky and Cesar. And you can find a little bit more of us over there. Should we start it?
Let's start.
They're in Bulgaria and they're heading to Bulgaria.
Yeah, staying in Bulgaria.
Yeah, it's from like the Ellen Pauline when they finished the previous the previous leg. And now they're going to Lake Ariana, which is in Sofia, in the capital of Bulgaria.
Yeah, beautiful capital. Lots of history over there.
And a really, really big cathedral that we get to see in this episode.
Yeah.
So, I know, we should have put a couple photos, but it's not about us. Let's go back to the race. At 7:34, Alisa and Josiah start the lake. And they're the first ones, and they realize that there's an express pass up for grabs.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple teams can go and try to attempt to get it, but only there's one express pass. So, Alisa and Josiah, they know that they're ahead of everyone else, so they head that way.
They go for it. And of course, without doubt, they should have. And I think everyone else who came after them realized, okay, there's enough gap where like they are going to arrive there on like before us. Like they don't foresee.
I mean, you never know what is going to be.
Yeah,
so
but
like you could.
Do you take the gamble of like I'm going to try and beat them out, being even 15 minutes behind?
Maybe ask for directions and see like how far are they one from another. Just to try to figure out. I didn't get the location for that express pass, so I could not get that. But they decide to go. So right after them, 8:10, which is 36 minutes after, Brett and Mark start the leg, and they realize they're like, okay, we're just gonna go.
That's a very large gap. I would not gamble it with that second place step off time.
That's where they're heading to Lake Ariana, and they're driving. So like they're making there. We don't know yet what is gonna happen. Jonathan and Anna start at 8:33, and Hannah and Holden at 9:47. I'm gonna wait a little bit for the other teams because they start going. I mean, it's pretty much Melinda and Erica.
Yeah.
And Carson and Jack really behind.
Really behind.
So then once they make it to Lake Ariana, they see that they have to retrieve across from the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these guys and there's all this music happening.
It looked really fun. I mean, it seemed like a more festive type of
it looked really fun. I mean, Josiah said that it was really hard just to get out of there, like because it was so much fun.
Yeah. I could see that. You want to stay and enjoy. And
we see Brett and Mark heading there. And parallel to this, we see Alisa and Josiah getting to the express pass, and they have to walk on coals.
That's just like, I don't know. I think it's so cool. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I'm on the beach.
What a great mantra to tell yourself, especially if you're not feeling. It would probably feel exactly the same. I've walked on some pretty.
I think there were a lot of good pointers out of how Alisa and Josiah are great racers. Alisa like wanting to go first, and then the moment that she crossed, he was like, "How was it?" And she's like, "No, it was
fine."
And then she's saying on the confessional, like, I didn't want to like react because I knew that he was scared. He might not have done it.
And it's great. Like she understands her partner, so that she's able to like not necessarily mask
she knows that he's gonna do it.
Not
she knows that he's gonna do it. Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like, why should I give you something negative? Let me just hype you up and like, let's get out of here. We're gonna leave. Like it's gonna take 10 seconds, then we're gonna live here with an express pass that is gonna give us safety for you don't know how much time. But I think that was great, like the way that they reacted to it. Like they doubted it for a second, but hey, they ended up like just being like, let's do it. So they get the express pass, and it's valid all the way through leg 10. So they have 2 more legs.
2 more legs.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna, honestly, I see it giving them another first place because of the express pass.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't foresee them being so far behind that they need to like use it to catch up. I think it's going to be like, oh, this is the last chance we get to use it, so we have to use it. I think they've been racing really strong.
They struggle a little bit on this one. We're gonna talk about like the cipher, but like they almost used it. They said it on their confessional. So like it's
you're right. Thinking, afterwards, after that fact.
So it just get to a point that you're like, I'm struggling. Like I don't want to be like I don't want to risk it because you don't know how much more it's gonna have. But yeah, there were a couple things. There were a couple rules that were all written that we all could read. If you pause your screen for a sec, if other team arrive and you didn't accomplish it, you have to like go back to the line. There would be a little briefing on like safety. There would be someone demonstrating how to do it. So like it just seems like really straightforward, and they got back on track right away. And then we go back to Brett and Mark, and this is something that as we were watching the episode, they're getting into the water. And Mark right away tells Brett, like, you're going to do it. You're going to get it. And Ricky had a comment here. Like, Mark is taller than Brett.
Yeah, like, you probably could have just reached down and not even gotten your torso wet. And Brett dove under the water.
Like, no, you're going to do it. You're going to do it.
The short kings of the world doing all the hard work.
Also, on that note, I love their swimming suits.
Yeah,
it's so colorful suits and everything. But I don't, like, it's packing something extra. They have,
but I think that might have just been their running shorts because they wore them for the rest of the leg.
You're right. You're totally
That's what
right.
I mean. That's what we did, right? We had just running shorts that we ended up swimming in a couple of times.
I need to go back and see the beginning of the episode because maybe that's just what they were wearing.
Thinking they stopped to change. I don't
think so. I don't think.
I think those were. They just happened to have like cute shorts.
I'll need to go back and look at that because I was like, if you're changing, no. Well, like on the next, I'm gonna just mention it on Anna because Jonathan and Anna, they did it there. Anna went in with her shoes. And I'm like, it's the beginning of the leg. And you're going in the water with your shoes. Yes, you don't know what is there. You don't know, like, it is. But if there's these guys jumping up and down, most likely there will be anything. I don't know. Well, are they wearing shoes? Or like
maybe she has a second pair, or maybe she's just an awesome racer and doesn't care.
You're right. I mean, you don't know if the people there are wearing shoes as well, but I don't know. I feel like I would have.
I would have a feeling they were in that water for a long time. They probably were wearing some kind of shoe if there were stones and stuff on the ground. So I get why she wore it. Unfortunately, she'd have just wet shoes unless she had a change.
Yeah. Well, and then. Once Brett and Mark got their clue, now it says that they have to go to the neighborhood of the Russian Monument Square and find the Clegg shop. So they're getting an address, they're getting a number. And the most important part of this route info was that they cannot take a taxi for the remaining part of the leg.
Take a taxi.
They can take
the rest of this leg.
I think Mark mentions here like it could be either walking or bus, but I think it was general like public transportation because then they
did end up like running to the first spot, or they started
but later on they used the subway, so I think he was just like saying like public transportation. He was saying the bus just in general. And right after we see Carson and Jack leaving. Well, Melinda and Erica left at 10:06 and Carson and Jack 11:15, so an hour and change afterwards. They're saying that spirits are high but delusional.
Love that. That.
It was really nice that like seeing them hyped up, like ready to go no matter like what was
I mean, think about it, like they were so far behind the previous leg and then they get like this second chance to like save themselves essentially. And yeah, I would be excited too. I think it's kind of an interesting spot to be in, like thinking out this leg and then you're not.
But I think but it's also important to keep that energy. And I think that helps them like being gamers. Just like it is just one more round. Like we're making it farther. Like I don't know, in Dungeons and Dragons, I feel like you can die and then like you might be able to keep playing, but it's something different. So just like I don't know, I found that like great. Then after that, like we see Brett and Mark getting to the click shop, and they found it right away.
Yeah,
like they had no problem. They went in the flower shop, like asked, and the attendant was telling them. So I think that was a really smart move. That it was the only team that we saw doing that. There's a store. Most likely, the person there has been working there for a while
and knows what's going on.
Why don't you ask? Yes,
point you in the right direction.
I think as a racer, you want to ask the least people possible to like get like the
not release. As many release forms, but
because it's gonna take less. But why not? Like if you're getting lost, you might get lost for more than 5 minutes. That it's just gonna take maybe 2, 3 for them to sign it. So I just found that interesting that they were the only ones, at least that we saw, that they asked someone like right away, like right over there. Later on, we see Melinda and Erica stopping again, like asking someone else, like a little bit farther from there. But yeah, why going somewhere else if you're there? The other thing is like we see a couple things like after, because I feel like all my notes are like in the chronological order, so I cannot be like, and Carson and Jack were here. But why not? If you're asking for directions already, why not looking what a click shop is? Like you have a phone on your hand.
Use a phone, see what it is.
No, like you don't know what it is.
I think it's a shop. So you're thinking like storefront. You're not thinking.
But you don't know the word. And like they all mention it like, oh, I don't know what click means. Like, I don't know what click is. When we later on we see Carson and Jack asking the lumberjack. But anyways, Brent and Mark get their clue and it's another route info. And they have to make their way to St. Clement Oritsky Central Library.
Sounds good to me.
In Sofia University. And they start making their way over there.
And then all the teams kind of like slowly. It's funny so now we to kind of see them try and find this.
We get Elisa and Josiah
strategies,
and they realize something. We were watching with Carson and Jack, and like they don't remember seeing the graffiti. And Elisa pointed it out, and she's like right amazing, like, oh, race season 37, and like that was as well like so clever nice from just touch. Like the producers to like have that done. Then later on Reddit, I saw that like the graffiti is still on. Like they were trying, they were like that's Google looking at like I think Google Maps or something, and like the graffiti.
Yeah, that would have been cool if we knew. Like
I know we could have, but hey, you never know. Jonathan and Anna find it as well, like really easy, and then we see Brett and Mark getting back to the university, and now it says use a Cyrillic cipher to translate from Cyrillic to English, and we see them going in. What do you think? Like, I think the approach. Well, they got it. They found out. Brett and Mark found out.
I think I probably would have been a little thrown off at first, but
because later on we see Elisa and Josiah like going around. Like,
I thought that was brilliant. Like, okay, this resource.
But there's so many books. Like, how do you?
Well, you look for the one that's.
She even looked through up this. I know she went ladder
up the ladder.
And like,
I was like, okay, be resourceful. Like. Look at your surroundings, figure out what you might need. You're in a library. So like, of course you're going to have plenty of resources. But one of them was just the thing you needed. The cipher, just flip it over.
We were hearing James's take and Luis and Michelle in the Croqueta chat, like, just like, and this, like, I want to share it because like that was a great input. Like, could they have gone outside of the building and asked someone like to look up what a cipher is. Yeah, what the Cyrillic cipher is. Exactly. So just like
that would have been a clever thing to do. It's just like take a moment, leave, figure out like, okay, what am I missing here? How can I figure out this thing?
But it's still like it seems that it would have been.
And I think also I heard Josiah say that the cipher itself was like really heavy.
Oh yeah, that's
so they
true.
thought it was like attached to the table,
like,
which makes sense. Like you wouldn't think like, oh, I'm not gonna pick up this like, the cipher.
But yeah, Brett and Mark start working on it. We see Han and Holden arriving to the lake, and I feel like it's just layers on layers on layers. Brett and Mark find a clue, like start getting it, and then it says in the beginning it was the word, and the word was with God, and God was the word. So we see a lot of word, which later on we're just gonna bring us to when Melinda and Erica trying to do it, and I'm just gonna bring it up right now because that's like reading the main.
Well, it was interesting.
TCKO, MMO, TCKO, like it was.
It was a great guess. Listen, if you don't know to flip that thing over, it's like, what are you? You're trying to look at the symbols and maybe match them with the alphabet.
It's just there were a lot of mistakes this far in the game.
Right, but I said this in previous episodes.
I mean, I'm trying to stay organized.
There haven't been a ton of these like puzzle. Let's sit down and like really think. They've had a lot of physical things.
You're right.
Thrown at them this whole season, and now finally they have to like sit down and really just like take a beat back and figure that out. It's a different brain,
But they're still racing, so like all
they're
mostly,
still racing,
like it is.
But
you're
this
right.
was a very
This
different type of challenge then.
And we saw a bunch of teams struggle with this, and by a bunch I mean 5 of this exactly. Melinda and Erica get to the lake. They do not read the clue properly. They think that you have to take a taxi right after. And this is when
dun 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 dun.
It's just like everything starts falling.
Yeah, and you know what it is. What also stinks is that they ran a pretty clean leg, and it was just that one little thing.
They're great racer. I think Erica is a great racer. And like Melinda, even on this roadblock, like she did so good. Like using previous knowledge, but we're gonna get there. I promise. Then the next roadblock says, oh my god, the next route info says make your way to the Museum of Socialist Art and Sculpture Garden, and they have to make it to the garden. So we see Lisa and Josiah still struggling with the clue.
The cipher.
Mm-hmm. Han and Holden make it to the click, and they find it really fast. They're one of the teams that don't get lost. Then Carson and Jack get to the click, and I think it just keeps ordering. I think I'm just gonna start highlighting like because it was so much. I loved this episode for the amount of challenges that they had. The challenge was directions from point A from point B more than anything. Because they had a couple activities like getting in the lake.
There were a lot of like activities to get a clue, but also like navigating a city through their like public transit.
But even the fact that like we see all the teams in action, like how usually on an episode you see only the front and the back of the pack. Now we're down to 6 teams, and we need to see a little bit of everyone, but. At all times, like you're like Brett and Mark, they're all the way on the front, but like still, like you're seeing Carson and Jack, and then like this in and out pretty much through the whole episode that made it really enjoyable and like super engaging. This is when Carson and Jack find the lumberjack from the previous leg doing his own commute. Like,
what are the odds? Like millions of people in there, and
hey, I mean,
they stumble upon the guy.
It's great. One less release to sign, I guess. It's like, he even had a contract. He's gonna get a paycheck, so why not?
That was cool that they found it, and they were able to get information out of him. Because they had a little bit more of a personal connection, they could ask those extra questions and not feel like, oh, we're bothering this person or whatever. And he looked willing to help. Yeah.
He was trying to explain them as well what a clerk, oh my God.
A click.
Click, thank you. A click shop was.
Yeah.
And I think as well that was really smart from them. Just like, hey, we have his attention. Why not? Why not having him explain us that? Jonathan finds that if he plays the cipher, he gets the English.
Yeah. So like they're all together and they're kind of like being, because it's Jonathan, Anna, and Alyssa and Josiah.
So like again, I see like in this episode we have really good tips and also really good don'ts. Like yes and no for this. Like I think the fact that Jonathan and Anna like decided to keep it covered was brilliant. And I think
the fact that they like were like, okay, if we figure it out, you figure it out, like maybe we'll work together, and then they figured it out and didn't say anything, like smart. And but also they played on the other side, is like when they left, they did give them a little bit of like, hey, remember
here it is.
Remember that time we helped you type of thing.
This is a question that I'm like, it's been in my head. Because we say it in confessionals, saying Lisa that they could have even like used that express pass. Like, yes, it is nice to have a little bit of help. Like what Jonathan and Anna are thinking, like we might get some help later on.
But what they could have done is not helped and let them burn their express pass.
Which would have been...
I mean, would have been better, because then it's one less express pass to like try and...
It's just so hard, because now you're building friends, but it's what competition? There's only when we see it later on.
This is the time to like think about yourself, because you're reaching the end.
I mean, there's only 4 more legs, but I mean, they don't know exactly what it is. A season of surprises,
right? But still, like this is the time to not really help too much. And I think Jonathan and Anna did just the right amount of help.
Yeah, I think that was
they
great.
Finished, still, like they were done, and they were on their way out, and then they gave the little...
It ended up biting them in the butt, but just one placement. So still, they're there, and they ended in the podium. But I don't know, a lot to think. What do you think? Leave it in the comments, because here I don't know if we're getting into an agreement. In a way, yes, no.
Yeah.
What would you have done? Yeah, I just want to know. I want more opinions on this.
But then the same similar thing kind of happened with Han and Holden.
But we're getting there. Wait, we're not there yet, because Melinda and Erica get really lost trying to find the clock shop. They ask someone for a phone. They find the address, but again, Google what is click. Like, you're right there. You have a phone in your hand, and I know you're like frantic and everything. And here is the first time that I see Erica struggling a little bit more. Melinda was right, and they even she's like, yeah, you're not listening to me, and she's like, they're both confident, but she was right. Like the number was there. You're getting something. Again, I think at that point you have to remember like red and yellow, red and yellow, red and yellow, red, and like just
but the graffiti,
it's so hard. But there were as well.
I know that little marker was very small, but
you never know. And some other teams found it. Han and Holden find it. So you get so like
but they're thinking like, okay, we're towards the back. We need to make some time up. Like, let's just move. Let's just keep moving rather than stopping and observing. I get that.
Then we see Jonathan just saying like, did you try flipping it yet? And like walked away. And I think that was really clever. I think that the fact that they helped them, we'll see if it comes handy later on. But I found that interesting. Then Alyssa and Josiah get it right away, and they keep going. Han and Holden arrive. Holden says like, let's collect the information. Let's write the passage. They were not that far from the book. So transcribing it would have taken some time, because these are symbols, letters that you are not familiar with. So like trying to copy it, what if there's some variation there? Or like,
it could be.
So I think if the clue was way farther, maybe yes. The clue being right there that you just have to like stand up and like go around. I don't think necessarily.
I mean, it could help like with concentration, like needing to like run back and forth for every symbol could be a pain. But you're right. It was close enough where like they could even just stand and tiptoe and look over.
Yeah. So, I mean, we see them struggling just to try to get it. And at this point, we get the next clue. That is make your way to Central Military Club. And Brett and Mark head that way right away. What else? Melinda and Erica arrive and they decide to work together with Han and Holden.
But not for too long.
Yeah, I mean, Carson and Jack get to the click, so they're catching up. They're like little by little.
Good time.
Catching up, they make it. They struggle a little bit to find it. They end up finding it. And they get their clues. So now this is like, again, you never know what is going to happen. Jonathan and Anna get lost, and Elisa and Josiah pass them.
Yeah.
And then we see Jonathan getting a little bit fixated with it again, like, oh, did they pass us? Did they pass us? But I think once you have made that decision of like, okay, we help them, that is a risk. So the risk is they might pass you.
Yeah.
But
I don't know that that's what he was worried about. Like, but because also, he helped them, that's their passing. But
it was more like we got lost, we got out. Like,
he has a bit of a like. His conscious is constantly thinking about what our placement
I mean,
is.
That was my 5 minutes on the car. That was like, we lost 5 minutes. We lost 5 minutes.
But I think that's kind of been how he's navigated some consistency through the races, knowing where he falls, within the lineup.
But also, like, just remembering that he had in mind, like, okay, the game that we can get of this is later on.
I will say, I feel like Jonathan is starting to settle into the race a little bit more. I feel like we
see him enjoying it a lot on the water, like on the lake.
Water. He was like, I think he's really starting to like embrace the twists and turns and the craziness of what the race is. And,
it is, lot.
If you don't put yourself in those situations on a daily basis, there's no way to prepare yourself for the race. There's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
There's no way to prepare for it. You just have to do it and figure it out.
And realize that like everything can be done. Like these are activities for everyone. Like it might take you a little bit longer, but you will be able to do it. And in this case, who wants to step back in time? Again, it has the word step. That is like the only one.
What was the location called?
It was a military. Let me go back on my notes. A
military?
Wait, yes. Ricky. Here, Central Military Club.
Oh, interesting.
Because we see Carson and Jack. I think Carson and Jack are the ones like, it's something like story or something like that. But I think
maybe like they'd have to.
I think Brett and Mark get it right away.
History or
but
something.
But it's just a step. I think you have to remember that on the roadblock clues.
But it also says time.
Yeah, you're right.
So like.
But a step is a word.
Time is also a word. But anyways, step back in time. So you don't know until you like walk into the location, like into that grand.
Which room. They did, and then it's like like it just entered another song. Mark is doing it, but Brett is like, I wish I could have worn that costume. It was really cool. It looked really fun. That hat looked a little hot. So if I had to be jumping up and down with that hat, I would be sweating for sure. Yeah. And we see Jack really, really, really sweaty. Then we have we go back to the cipher, and Carson and Jack arrive. Then Carson and Jack notice it. Then Holden sees them doing them, so they start solving it as well. In the moment that Melinda and Erica stand up to try to get it, to go to the librarian, that's when Holden is shaking hands with Carson and Jack, let's work together. Let's make it official.
Declare,
and this is when Melinda and Erica go for the TSKOM. Like it was. Yes, again, you're trying to feel that you're doing progress. But if we have learned something doing escape rooms, it's like usually if it's a code to get you out, it might make a word.
Yeah.
Most likely. Although you never know. So might as well just try.
Yeah, try it out.
And that's what they were doing. And then we see Mark finishing it on his first try, doing it great.
Oh, yeah.
Like keeping his smile. I will be counting so much. And they get around him for making.
And you know what? It's interesting because I feel like most times when there's a dance challenge, you don't always get the first check. Like, even if you have it on the right
way, they get a clap because
and because he knows how to perform. He knew how, like, okay, I've got to knock this out in the first try, like give it everything.
And even you see when he's rehearsing, like they go and he's like, no, wait a second, and he does it again, just to make sure that he got it and he get it. So they get out of there. Now they get the road info. Make your way on foot to the Saint Alexander Nevsky Cathedral. They have to go and find Phil on the grounds of the cathedral. Mm-hmm. Lisa and Josiah get to the dance, and Josiah is the one doing it.
Yeah, and he seemed pretty confident. He said he like grew up doing some dancing,
going to quinceañeras.
Yeah. So. I think I thought he did a great job. It seemed like he rehearsed pretty quickly. At least it felt that way because everybody was kind of like back to back.
I mean, and Anna as well did a great job. Like she was saying that Jonathan and Anna made a salsa dance class, that she would pick up the choreos really fast just by looking at other people. And both of them, I think they were doing pretty good. Then we see Han and Holden getting it ahead of Carson and Jack. So like, they finished first. On their way back to the room, Carson and Jack are gonna try, like, to get it right. And Han and Holden said that they're gonna tell Melinda and Erica that they just have to flip it. What do you think about it? What do you think about it? It's like should
they said they were gonna work with them, so like if they didn't, I would think that would be a little messed up.
They are the last 3 teams, and as Carson and Jack said it, like.
Yeah,
but also they want to play with integrity,
game, and they could. But I think playing with integrity is
really
important.
I think
it makes you like, I don't know, if you have that type of conscience, it makes you feel better later on, knowing that like you kept your word.
Like, it is like
and I think that was really, really great of Han Holden to like, okay, we're gonna get help wherever we can, because we're not just gonna stick ourselves to you because you're not figuring out, we're not figuring out.
We see Holden giving the whole first phrase, and then Han is like, no, like that's enough, like we gotta go, which is like, yes, it won't take them that long, they can catch up and they can like
once you figure it out. Excuse me.
I mean, it's not like it's 10:23 p.m. and we've been up since 6:30 a.m. But
it's fine, we love the race.
Yeah, that is true.
So they give it to them, and they scurry out of there, which again, I think their strategy for that was very smart. Like, yes, you said you were going to work with them, but they're not figuring it out.
But now they're living together, and they're like, should we go together? So now they're still running together. They're like making their way. They almost make it to the park, to the museum. And they're like, yeah, it should be an outdoors. Holden then he points at a star. He's like, oh, that looks like really like socialist star. Then they keep going to the park. Jack and Carson decide to ask someone, and they part ways. Mm-hmm. And I think when in doubt, stop and ask, because it paid off for Carson and Jack. Like they went back. Holden was actually right, and now we see Han and Holden being a little lost and behind Carson and Jack. Which, if they kept going like racing, if they stuck together, it would have come down to really who got the dance the faster. But yeah, again, it is far in the race. Sticking together might be not the smartest, but
if you know that Erica and Melinda are right behind you, like, yes, you gave, like, because they said we're gonna give it to them, and that means they are going to be right behind you. So 4 heads are better than 1, like,
I think,
or 2. I guess.
I think being the last 2 teams, even if they were the last 2 teams, being together, you are keeping eyes on who is your direct competition. So although it might be a little bit more stressful, but it gives you a waiting, like it gives you some safety there, just like knowing what is going to happen. At least you're aware of what's going to happen. So they should have stayed together, yes. Even if they stayed together, maybe all of them would have needed a signature. But in reality, it was Carson and Jack who stopped the person. So I guess I don't think, and honestly, again, it's a release. I know,
deal, like, just stop. It's better to know where you're going than running in the wrong direction.
Of the release, which is like
the audio people are so fast. It's not even that long.
That is true.
I don't ever remember it being that long.
I know, but we were being interviewed.
Nah.
Still,
they're still fast.
Anyways,
it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, you're right.
It will make a difference if you don't stop and you're running around and you don't find it.
Yeah. Well, we see Melinda and Erica getting it and getting into another cab. This is their third cab, and it's just
And at this point, I'm like, do they get a penalty for every cab they take?
Know. It is.
Or just one penalty?
Oh, this was so hard to watch. Yeah, we were just like yelling at the screen.
They're like right behind them.
Like not one more. On the other side, we're celebrating Brett and Mark because they came on first place and they're getting $7,500 each. It's really cool. They did great. Like they ran a very really clean leg.
Yeah.
And yes, they started in first, but it's still like they made no mistakes. They just kept going and they did pretty good. Congratulations.
Bravo.
Yeah. Then the Carson and Jack make it to the roadblock, and Jack is the one doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because he gets in and he's like, okay, who is a great teacher for someone that does not know how to dance? And they're like, well, you have to pick. And the guy that said that, he ended up being picked. Also, Jack was like, maybe I should wear this to the Renaissance Fair.
That'd be a cute outfit.
Yeah, I mean, but keeping it, you have four legs.
Carry it,
it is a lot of weight. They only have one bag.
They have one bag. They did not keep anything.
Which is, the only thing that I saw that maybe I would have been like, can I keep this? The little pencil, the wooden pencil that they had on the translator, on the cipher.
You can steal that one. Put it in the fanny pack.
Which is like, put it on the fanny pack.
Souvenir.
It's so good. I'm like, why not? Anyways, Holden starts doing the roadblock. Melinda and Erica get on taxi number 4. And then we see Alyssa and Josiah getting into the pit stop. Josiah gets it on his third try, same as Anna. They both make their way to the pit stop.
Which is great. Three attempts is like nothing. That's really great.
Yeah, I mean, that was for both of them.
Yeah.
Alyssa and Josiah get to the pit stop with an express pass. And right after them, Jonathan and Anna. They're
they were back
pretty
to back.
Doing pretty good. So right now it's just like it's anybody's game. Like I think at this point, Han and Holden are the only ones that don't not have a first place.
Yeah.
Out of the 5 teams that are left. So everyone, like, it could be anyone's game. Like everyone has been.
And I'll say Han and Holden have been very consistent, and they've been racing really well. I know that like maybe you're not in top 3 every time, but they still have been very consistent, very like methodical and thoughtful. And it is funny to hear some of their like little conversations. You breathing? Why aren't you breathing? You should be breathing. Breathe more. And it's like, so it's
but
like
they're
trying to support each other, and it's really.
They did say today. I mean, in this episode that they were. For 7 years they were apart.
Yeah.
So
they're still figuring out how to like be supportive siblings. It's kind of cool.
It is nice. They're doing good. Like they keeping each other accountable. Holden is doing pretty good. Same as Jack. I feel like everyone is doing great on this roadblock. I don't know why nobody's struggling.
I think the choreo was pretty like repetitive and simple enough. Like just from watching it on screen, like. I picked up about half of it just from the example.
Yeah, sure.
It's not that hard. It was super repetitive. As long as you could count and remember the order. Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, just like that. Perfect. Yeah, I got it. Where's my clue?
I guess if it was like if there were arms involved.
It was really fast paced.
It was fast, but
I think it was helpful, like the fact that you're holding the
someone's holding you, so like you kind of like get pulled because they're like, everybody's attached.
Yeah, I mean that.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was the most complicated choreo we've seen on the race, but it was fast.
It was really fast.
It was fast.
We see Melinda like just referring to the Greek background and like how like some dances are like that.
Similar.
But you were like, no, it was the other side. It was like trying to remember that. Carson and Jack make it on 4th place. And Phil is like, speechless, and he's saying that could be one of the greatest comebacks of the Amazing Race. They did so good.
They did a really great job. I was a little nervous for them, but I think the straightforwardness of this leg like really helped them just kind of like lock in. And
remember, they're New Yorkers, so public transit, it's something
unafraid
that
of public transit. Yeah,
it can be really helpful, just like being familiar and being okay, and like being okay when asking people. And another reference from Frodo and Sam on this one. It's just like, the Lord of the Rings like fan of me like was like, oh, that's nice. Han and Holden. I mean, at this point, Holden finishes, Melinda finishes. They all start racing, and like you see them approaching Phil, and you're like, who's gonna make it? And Han and Holden ended up making it. And sad to see Melinda and Erica leave because they were doing pretty good.
Yeah, and they were such a joy to watch. Like I love their relationship, and great racers all around, I think.
I mean, I think they had a lot of like great lessons that we can learn from through the season. I wasn't expecting them to be like this good, and like I took a few notes from Erica, like they're really good racer, and like Melinda's attitude as well, like something else to applaud, like just going and getting things done. And as we saw at the beginning of this episode, like how Erica was saying, like she's competitive, but her mom, like, really competitive.
I mean, what's the saying? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yep.
If you're competitive, most likely at least one of your parents is competitive.
So the one thing is that we do not get to see if there was like how long would the penalty be, like, or how what that would have been considered. But Phil does tells them like what is the number one rule in the race, like read your clue, and he had them reading what they didn't do. But I think
regardless of the
in a way it was better to finish this way than finish with a penalty and just waiting and seeing all the other teams pass you and then like being done. I think if anything it was a good way to finish the race,
because they still technically finished really strong, and I think they, besides the taxi, they had a really good leg.
Well, next week we are going to Italy. And we're gonna see some like cooking challenges, which I'm like really excited about. We see some of the
and they're stringing
mozzarella, and they're making pizza, and like they're doing.
Of course, you would go to food. No, they were stringing an instrument.
Yeah, they're stringing mozzarella as well. Why not?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Which, if it's a detour, like this would have been a hard one. What to pick? We would have picked mozzarella. Well, let's see. We're gonna talk about it next week on our next episode. The season is almost over, so like if you like it, leave a comment. If you haven't subscribed right now, subscribe. I don't know, just because.
We'll be back next week for episode 9,
and that's pretty much it from us. We will see you next week. Leave us any comments, any questions, or anything else you want to see. We're getting ready for the finale. If you're in New York or if you want to come to New York, it's 2 days event, 14 and 15, Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to be there with the cast of season 37. We are really excited.
It's going to be awesome.
Yes, it's going to be a lot to celebrate. And we're ready to pass down the crown to whoever the new winners are. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. I have no rhythm. I don't know who.